Hello and welcome to another video at the listening room of Gauder Acoustic. Today we want to speak about something very, very fundamental and very, very important, because we have these questions all day long, especially Volker. You always get the question, please tell me something about the specification and technical data of our speakers.
Yeah.
What do you say then?
Well, actually, in my opinion, most of the people have the idea that they can know something about the sound when they know technical details and technical data, and they know, and they have the idea. The people have the idea that if they read a special frequency response, frequency range, or efficiency, or things like that, they know about something of the sound of the speaker.
But
that's not correct.
Yes.
That's not right.
That's a total error. Okay, so let's go into some detail. What are the main questions people ask you? What do they want to know especially?
Well, most of the times people want to know what is the frequency range or the frequency response of a certain speaker.
Yeah.
And well, I always ask myself, is this really an important point? Because if I take a close look at, for example, 5 different speakers of major brands in a certain class, and I take these frequency response and frequency ranges and put them together, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not a big difference.
Yeah, of course.
It's more or less the same.
Yes, we have been measuring frequency responses now for 50, 60 years, and the good speakers are just always very, very linear, and you cannot distinguish something about them because in a certain quality status, we really have a good frequency response, but they sound totally different.
Exactly. This is when I talk to customers or to distributors, or it doesn't matter at that point, and I ask them. Yeah. So you have now here on the sheet the frequency range of I don't speak about other brands from this major company from England, from France, and so on. And you see this frequency response. And it's more or less the same. And then you ask the customer or the guy you have on the phone or on the video call or wherever, do they sound the same?
What would they tell you?
No. They don't sound the same. So the meaning about measurements according to the sound quality must be somewhere else, I think.
Yes. No, okay. I think you have seen many of our videos now. And I always tell a lot about frequency response and impulse response. And for us, as we have analyzed music and hi-fi in many, many years, the impulse response is much more important than the frequency response. So if you have a frequency response, you do not know how the speaker sounds.
So, Roland, what do you think about this sentence, which I will tell you? The frequency response today of a speaker is not that important because 90%, 95% of the speakers have a good frequency range.
Yeah, of course. If you have a bad frequency response and with something like this, just to give you some glimpse of the problem, we have the frequency response, amplitude versus frequency, and normally you start here, something like this, and that's a normal, a good frequency response. If you have something like this, you have no bass, big peak, something like this, then you will say, okay, this may sound a little bit crazy.
So you mean,
yes.
Excuse me, you mean if a speaker today has something like this, then you know it can't sound quite right.
Yeah, but
which speaker does have a frequency response like this?
Yeah.
A frequency range?
No, only a few speakers will have that.
Wow.
And the good speakers, which are popular and which are the main brands, they will always have something like this. So we can equally say, they're on the same quality level in frequency response, but it doesn't matter. The impulse response is much more important, and I cannot see the impulse response from the frequency response, obviously.
So, second thing, Roland,
Yeah.
they ask and they want to know is the thing about the impedance.
Oh yeah.
So, please tell us from a scientific point of view some things about impedance, because I have the idea that most of the people think or have the idea that the impedance is a constant.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so take a look at this diagram here. I will plot here the impedance I
Yeah.
in ohms versus the frequency.
Yeah.
And the impedance is the electrical AC resistance of a loudspeaker. This is frequency dependent. So it's not a constant, it's not a number I can tell, something like 4 ohms or 8 ohms. But normally the impedance looks like this. Take the blue color. So we have, for example, here 4 ohms.
Yeah.
It's just an example. And then normally we have 2 peaks for the bass reflex speakers, then the frequency crossover, and for the mid-range and the tweeter. Something like this. For closed speakers we have 1 peak, but it always looks the same. So you see, the impedance varies with frequency.
Okay.
Here it's lower, here it's higher.
Excuse me, one question. For example, if it's written on the speaker,
Yeah.
this is a 4 ohm speaker.
Yeah.
Is 4 ohm the meaning that is the lowest point 4 ohm, or what does it mean? Or
No.
do they do it like they want, or I don't know.
We have different algorithms to calculate this. In Germany, we have the speaker can go down to 3.2 ohms, and then it's still a 4 ohm speaker, and it can go up more than 20 or 30 ohms. But all these values are according to the algorithm you calculate them. And so normally this is what I have drawn here is just a normal 4 ohm speaker. It's, most of the part of the impedance is above 4 ohms.
It's
but
above.
Here for the tweeter it goes down to 4
But
ohms.
this doesn't matter because you don't need power there.
Yeah, of course, you don't need power there. Here in the bass range, you need the power. So if you have a high impedance, you need little power here. But here, you need a lot of current for the amplifier. Okay, so
you said power and current. Is it important today? Is it important today because, in my opinion, if you spend, well, just let me tell it like this: you spend $500 on an amplifier. How much power does it have? 60 watts, 70 watt, 80
watts, yes.
40.
Sine power, and
That's it.
you get
So-
a lot of more impulse power from these amplifiers. So
That's it. And well, 40 years ago, 20 watts was normal, 15 watts was normal.
So this is the impedance curve of a loudspeaker.
What does it mean? What does it mean according to the sound quality of the speaker?
Nothing.
For the speaker itself, it
Yeah.
means nothing.
It means nothing.
Okay.
With this impedance curve, you can have any frequency response. It belongs to the driver's crossover design and so on. So this impedance curve tells us nothing about the sound quality of a speaker.
It's only the thing, can my amplifier drive this speaker?
Yes, this is the electrical world of the loudspeaker.
Okay.
And it says to the amplifier, please give me this amount of current.
And when it gets,
Nothing more.
when the speaker gets the power from the amplifier, everything is okay.
Yes, of course, but it doesn't tell me anything about the sound quality. And so if you check our loudspeakers or many, many loudspeakers on the market, about 90% of all amplifiers available are able to drive them, because today it's not a problem anymore. We are not in the 60s with tube amplifiers. And if you have a small tube amplifier okay, then you can say I can drive any speaker I want, just in a lower, loudness, in a lower level. And that's why we also make the bass extension system.
Check out this video about the bass extension.
Yeah, when you have one of our speakers, you can pull out the bass extension plug, and then
everything is okay here, huh?
We do it like that. We have the normal impedance curve, but here in bass, where a lot of current is flowing, the impedance goes up to 8-10 ohms, and this is just a thing which is really taking care of the amplifier. Any amplifier can drive a speaker with such an impedance curve.
So, the meaning about the impedance is, well, of course, it is a little bit important, but you cannot read out something about sound quality of the speaker when you see an impedance curve or something like this.
Absolutely.
Okay. Third thing, Roland.
Okay.
Efficiency of the speaker.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Efficiency. I think maybe the most important, I don't know, efficiency, they ask all the times. What's the efficiency of the speaker?
Yes.
Let me ask you one question, please, before we start about this. Is the efficiency of a speaker something which every company make the measurements in the same way?
No, absolutely not. And that's also the big problem. There is just no common algorithm in the world to describe the efficiency. So, do I take? We don't take the blue speaker. We take the red speaker.
Okay.
Just a very mainstream speaker. Now you can say, okay, I take this point here, or you can say I take this point here in the mid-range, or the F3 point here. So you get totally different efficiencies, and then your kind of measurement, the microphone you use, you can add up to plus 3 dB if you make some tricks.
And the difference between this and this, because it's not written here, sometimes this is 5 dB, 6 dB, something like this.
Yeah, so...
and 6 dB is double the volume, isn't it?
If you look to cheap speakers in the internet,
yeah,
they have a frequency response from 20
hertz to 20 kilohertz. Yeah,
but
and 92 dB.
Yeah, they sound like crap. Really crappy, 92 dBs. And then if you check them, they have 86 like all the other speakers.
You know, what I often see when I take a look at other technical details, they write not per watts and per meters. They just write decibel.
Decibel, yes. So you can
what does that mean? Please tell us.
A decibel is just not the efficiency; it's just the loudness of the tone.
Yeah.
And you can have 5 watts or half a meter. And if you go to the speaker with the microphone half a meter, you get 6 dB more.
6 dB more.
6 dB more, yes. And that's a lot, 6 dB. So normally you have 86, but you measure at half a meter and then you have 92. And then you have a wonderful efficiency on the paper, in the documents, but not in reality.
You know, in my opinion, the meaning of this video is that most of the people ask me, and sometimes of course you, why don't you tell us these 3 things about your speakers? Okay, now we heard many things about frequency range, frequency response, impedance, and efficiency. And the main thing, in my opinion, is most of the people that I talk to, they want to know, why don't you write these things in your manuals, in your
data sheets?
In your thank you.
Yeah.
Why don't you do this? Sometimes they tell me, are they so bad?
Of course, they think. No, the real answer is, we have talked about frequency response, impedance, and efficiency just to see that there are no common algorithms to make the specifications correct all over the world. It's always different. And they have no meaning they don't tell us anything about the sound quality of the speaker.
So you, or should I say we, we don't want that anybody on the world gets the idea, if he reads a certain frequency response or range or efficiency of a certain speaker of our models, that this speaker is not good
enough,
because the number on a certain point is too low or too high or something like this.
That's the reason. It's just thing I learned already in the 70s. I checked the frequency response in the data sheets of some manufacturers in Germany, and I bought a speaker there because of the frequency response.
Because it was wider.
This was the widest frequency response. And then I listened to the speakers and I was really shocked. They sounded really like crap. And I couldn't believe that because I know one of the other speakers had a smaller frequency, but it sounded much, much better. And so I already learned this many, many years ago that the frequency response doesn't have anything to do with the sound quality. And we don't want that any of our interested customers or people who love hi-fi will get away from our speakers just because of some stupid technical data which are not telling you anything about the sound quality. And from my personal standing is the sound quality of a speaker is the most important thing.
Yeah, of course.
I buy a speaker because of the sound quality.
Of course.
I want to have a sound imaging, perfect illusion. I close my eyes and I can see the band standing in front of me.
Well, some people want to know what's the measurements of the speaker, but this we write down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
if it fits to my room or something like this.
Yeah, of course. We tell something about the width, the length, and the depth of a speaker and the weight of a speaker.
Yeah.
But that's something just physical. You can measure and you can not cheat. But frequency response, you can say, I have this frequency range response, and you can cheat because there is no common algorithm or prescription for measuring. Nobody knows how to do it. And so we think, don't take the technical data and the technical specifications too serious. They don't tell you anything about the sound quality. The only thing that's the truth is to listen to the speaker. Take your favorite records, put it on the turntable or CD player, close your eyes and listen to the speakers.
Well, trust your ears.
Trust your ears, absolutely. And this is the truth. And this is why you should buy a speaker, by listening. Okay, it's a bit of an effort. If you read technical data, it's easy. You can compare 10 speakers in 1 hour.
Yeah.
For listening tests, it's
takes a little bit more time.
Yes,
of course.
Yes, but so you have normally a good friend or a good dealer, and they say, just try this. I know your taste, and please try this speaker. And then you get a good recommendation, and then you should sit down, close your eyes, and listen to music.
Well,
that's the truth. The truth lies in the music, and not in the technical details.
Technical data. Yeah.